Well, good morning, everyone. I'm Meteorologist Taylor Stephenson, joining you here from the Weather Center as we are tracking yet another big blast of cold air coming through Hampton Roads in northeastern North Carolina over the coming hours. And this will be the coldest air of the season here in Hampton Roads and northeastern North Carolina. I'm tracking feels like temperatures for tonight into tomorrow morning as cold as 3 to 4 degrees. But this morning, I'm also tracking a rain-snow mix that actually may produce a dusting up to an inch of snow. And so this morning, I'm really going to focus on the snow aspect of it a little bit more heavily than the bitter cold aspect as things are ongoing now. Once we get into our live streams at around 11 a.m. to around 1 p.m., then I'm going to start focusing more on that blast of bitter cold, especially as our alerts start to go into play right at 1 p.m. for our wind advisory. And I'll show you all of those over the breadth of this live stream. But for now, big focus is on the wet weather. We already had some wet weather this morning that Jordy and I ran into coming into work today, but we're watching for yet another round of wet weather. This time, it could be mixed with some snow. So here's a look at our live radar. You can see it right now. Our radar is starting to become a little bit more filled in here across Hampton Roads and northeastern North Carolina. Right now I am tracking some of that snow near Chincoteague as you get towards Tappahannock, Richmond, and then Williamsburg. We had a burst of snow earlier, now more on that rain-snow mix. Excuse me. But for the rest of the south side and northeastern North Carolina, I am tracking some rain this morning. So for those who are just about to head out the door, just know that you will be battling some of that rain here across the area, where we will be dealing with some of that wet weather throughout the course of the morning. I do expect most of this wet weather to taper off by the early afternoon. So let's take a closer look at what we're seeing here in our area. This is a radar that's up near the eastern shore. That's really in Delaware, so that gives us a better look at what's going on there. Right now, at Chincoteague, we're seeing some snow. Onondaga, we're not really seeing much snow yet, but that should mix over into some snow soon. As you get near Chestnut Grove, Hardyville, Saluda, Jamaica, we're seeing some snow. Gloucester and Beaverlet, you're right on the cusp of snow-rain line, but you are seeing some flurries at the moment. And again, if you are watching this live stream and you're in these areas, it's great if you could send these pictures to us. You can email us at news@13newsnow.com. You can also just drop them in the 13 News Now Daybreakers Facebook group. If you're not a part of that group, you can always join on Facebook and drop the photos there as well. So, excuse me, I am watching for some snow, but it's always helpful to verify what's going on there. Anywhere else that we're seeing some precipitation, it's mainly a cold rain. So Exmoor, Cape Charles, parts of Newport News into Hampton, and then majority of the south side, Ivor down into Suffolk, Bear Quarter, and that's in Chesapeake, Deep Creek, Pungo, just south of the Virginia Beach oceanfront. Also seeing that wet weather and then isolated showers in Norfolk. Going down into Franklin, some widespread light rainfall. Boykins and Druryville also seeing that rainfall. Reynoldson, Murfreesboro, Ahoskie, Mittensville, seeing that rain. And a lot of this rain will actually track kind of this direction. I'll pull out the arrow. It's going to track this direction, but slowly. So as temperatures fall, we'll start to see some flurries later on. And I can give you a look at the next 6 hours to give you kind of like the thinking of what we could see for later on today. So hour by hour, over the next 6 hours, temperatures will continue to drop off, and you can see by the time we get to around 10 a.m., that's when things start to change over into some snow here on the south side. So we have about an hour or so until we start to see those flurries coming down. And then once we get into the afternoon, we'll see the snow clearing out. We'll see some sunshine, but then we're trading out the sunshine for those very breezy conditions. And temperatures significantly fall, upper 30s and lower 40s now, and then we'll be in the mid 30s by the afternoon, but feeling more like the lower 30s for most of us. But it's all a part of this system right here that we have in place, that is ushering in this blast of cool air. You can see that cold front now draped just through northeastern North Carolina, right here. And this will usher in that cooler air from the north. You can see anywhere from the peninsulas all the way up and through New York City, and into places like Massachusetts. If we go and we scroll this up here, southern Massachusetts, and then you head through Rhode Island and all the way down through the Delmarva Peninsula, snow, and then some rain on the backside. So I'm watching for that to transition over. Let's talk about our weather impact alert, because that is really why we are so focused on getting you the knowledge you need to know about today and tomorrow. And while we do have multiple times, we'll be doing live coverage of this between today and tomorrow. This system will usher in the coldest air of the season, and that comes through starting tonight. We do have a cold weather advisory that I'll show you in just a moment that starts this evening, and then it goes until Monday morning. Now, as we look ahead to what the main impacts will be, I am watching for bitterly cold wind chills, and then the risk of pipes freezing, especially those older pipes. So get a little bit of a drip to those pipes if you can. But regardless, no one can avoid the bitterly cold wind chills for tonight into tomorrow morning, because this will be a widespread bitter cold. Of course, you need to take your cold weather precautions. We need to remember the 4 P's. People. So if you have some older neighbors, or you may know someone who may not have a place to stay that's warm, making sure they have the proper resources, or at least guiding them to those proper resources so that they can find some heat tonight. 2, your pets. Your pets, while they may love the outdoors, they're just like humans, and they get cold too. And you don't want to keep them outside in brutal cold like this, so make sure they're indoors, or at least in a heated place as well. 3, your plants. If you have potted plants that are very susceptible to cold weather and they're outdoors, bring them inside. As we get just before the late afternoon to early evening, your best chance to bring them in, honestly, is right after this rain moves out, probably right around noon to 1. After that, things will start to really get cold by this evening. And then, of course, your pipes, leaving a little bit of a drip just in case. We do not want any water damage from pipes bursting during this time. Now, I'm going to zoom this back out just a bit. And I want to show you how far these cold weather advisories stretch. So we have a cold weather advisory right now for the northern tier of the United States. So Minnesota, South Dakota, North Dakota, all the way down through St. Louis into Atlanta, most of the southeastern U.S., and then up into the mid-Atlantic. Now, I will say kind of this area between like Roanoke and Charlotte, a lot of those are in very mountainous regions. So that's most likely why they did not get a cold weather advisory for today. But we can see wind chills as low as 4 degrees, maybe even 3. So it's going to be an extremely cold night for us here in Hampton Roads and northeastern North Carolina. As you see, no one is out of the realm of possibility for seeing those single-digit wind chills. That runs from 7 p.m. tonight till 9 a.m. tomorrow morning. We also have wind alerts in effect for today. We have a wind advisory in place for Melfa, Virginia Beach, and Nags Head. That lasts from 1 p.m. Sunday to 7 a.m. on Monday, as those wind chills, again, still frigid for the whole area. But you add on the fact that we can see wind gusts up to about 50 miles per hour in those tan colors, it's going to be a very, very cold night for us. So here's a look at the Thompson Creek Window Company's sky view. You can see that it's a gloomy start to the day here in Norfolk. I'm going to walk into the studio so I can change these cameras because I do want to see some different angles of what's going on with you here. So again, that's looking at Norfolk. I've been watching Norfolk all day. We had the rain earlier. I kind of see a little bit of some raindrops coming through from our camera there. But I'm going to switch over to another camera. So let's take this and let's look at the beach at the moment. So right now you can see our beach camera showing some pretty calm conditions there on the beach. Obviously super quiet, very cold for us to even be out there. So that's probably why we don't see a single person out on our camera right now. But still a gloomy day. I'm going to switch over to another camera. I'm going to change it to Hampton. And we're going to look at our Chamberlain camera because I'm actually seeing some raindrops coming through now. So here's a look at the Chamberlain camera here, and that's going to be in Norfolk. And for Norfolk, for Hampton, for Norfolk, seeing cloudy skies. For Hampton, I am watching some raindrops coming through now. You can see one of the raindrops on the camera. So a few raindrops here and there, but then that's just the start of the potential. Oh, you can see some of it coming down again now. That actually looks like sleet from this camera. Let's watch it one more time and see if we can see it coming down. That looked like ice pellets bouncing off of the roof. I'm going to stand here for just a moment to see if I can see that once again. That looked like sleet, though, which is a sign of temperature significantly cooling in our atmosphere and showing that we're seeing that mix over from rain to sleet, which will eventually become snow. I'm seeing that was a raindrop, but I definitely saw what looked like an ice pellet. But they may be few and far between. We're not going to stay on this camera too long. But what I saw just maybe a few seconds ago just did seem like sleet. So just something to keep in mind. That we could see some sleet mixed in before the snow really starts. But that's from Hampton. Okay, so right now temperatures are in the lower 40s, cloudy skies, and we're going to see temperatures significantly fall. Again, for those who may just now be joining me, tracking some winter weather this morning. We do have winter weather advisories in effect for the Middle Peninsula, but most of the snow will be concentrated to places in northern and central Virginia. And you can see now snow ongoing for the Middle Peninsula, Northern Neck, Eastern Shore. Even that pink is sleet. So we may be seeing some sleet there in Melfa. Also in Hampton, it looked like we were just now getting some sleet too. But for the rest of the area, we are seeing that rain here this morning. And that's anywhere from Emporia through the ocean front. And then down in northeastern North Carolina, some areas and pockets of heavier rainfall in Windsor. But for our general viewing area, widespread light rainfall at the moment. So let's take a look at what to expect for the rest of your day. Here's a look at the snow that will most likely develop with the mix right in that kind of purplish area. So starting off as rain, mixing over, like I said, I think I just saw a little bit of sleet from our Hampton camera, and then becoming snow. Snow continues through Sunday today through around 11 a.m. for the south side. For really all of Hampton Roads in northeastern North Carolina, but you can kind of see, and I'll roll it back a little bit, see how much heavier that snow was right around now. As we get into around 11, it becomes a little bit lighter. Then through the afternoon, we're going to see these north winds really picking up. Wind gusts as high as about 25 to 30 miles per hour around 3 o'clock, but temperature is taking a nosedive. Upper 20s, lower 30s for the peninsulas, elsewhere mid-30s to upper 30s. So a sharp drop-off after we started in the 40s and 50s this morning for most areas. Around the peninsulas, we started around the upper 30s. But you add on the fact that we do have windy conditions, then it's going to feel even colder than that. As we progress through the rest of the day, you'll see temperatures continuing to dive into the 20s, and then even later on tonight, 20s stay around, even some teens for places like Tappahannock. Now let's talk about the wind chill for today specifically, and then I'll get into the brutal cold we could see late tonight into tomorrow. So here's a look at the wind chill today, and we started off in the 40s, and then now you can see that by the time we get to around noon, feeling more like the mid-20s. So even though temperatures will be in the mid-30s, it'll feel more like the mid-20s. You get to around 4 p.m., feeling more like the lower 20s, even though temperatures will be in the mid-30s. You get to 6 p.m., and that's when the teens start coming in for feels like temperatures, feeling more like 15 degrees by 6, and then around 8 p.m., feeling more like 10 degrees. So a very chilly, chilly night for us. But that's not the coldest it will be by far. Let's talk about the winds over the coming hours. So over the next 12 hours, here's how the winds will pick up. Remember that wind chill is the relationship between the actual air temperature and how gusty the winds are. And you can see here from our wind gusts, 35 mile per hour wind gusts possible in the 11 a.m. hour. As you get to around 3 p.m., still in the 30 to 35 mile per hour range and continuing through 9 o'clock tonight. So very cold temperatures, chilly conditions ongoing. And I do want to give you a look at snowfall potential. So here's a look at a few models. So we're going to take the American model. The American model says that through the course of the next about, let's just say till 4 p.m. So over the course of the next few hours, the American model thinks that we could pick up 1 to 2 inches of snowfall. I think that's overdoing it, but it's always good to look at all the models to assess first. I think our snowfall totals, for me, I believe will run from about half an inch to an inch. Excuse me. Let's look at the graph model. That's an in-house model. You can see much lighter accumulations through the day today, maybe around half an inch up to an inch. Let's take the high resolution rapid refresh, another short range model, and you can see that the high resolution is like 1/10 of an inch. So I think we'll get probably somewhere around maybe half an inch, but there could be some areas that do get more than an inch of snow when you get closer to Tappahannock and places north of there. So winter weather, when it comes to the actual snow, not the most impactful thing. It's going to be those brutal cold temperatures that I'm tracking here across Hampton Roads and northeastern North Carolina. So here's a look at the Futurecast wind chill here for your Sunday evening. I started at 7 o'clock because that is when our cold weather advisory goes into effect. So by 7 p.m., by 7 p.m., temperatures will feel more like 7, 8, 9, 10 degrees for the south side, feeling more like 3 to 6 degrees for the peninsulas. Then you get into northeastern North Carolina, still feeling like the lower teens, mid-teens. So a very cold evening for us. And by that time, meteorologist Hunter Force will be in here to talk you through that, because that will be during the brunt of his shift. And so he can guide you through what he's actually seeing. Remember, these are projections. So it could get this cold, but it's always nice to see what's happening in the moment. By the time we get to 10 p.m., area-wide, feeling more like 4 degrees, 5 degrees, 3 degrees. So very chilly night. And then we get into early tomorrow morning as you're heading into work, still feeling more like the single digits, even though temperatures in the morning will be in the teens and 20s. It's that wind. That wind is going to make it feel much, much colder than it actually is. By the afternoon, we do make some pretty good improvements by the standard of starting off in the single digits. We'll make it to feels like temperatures by noon in the teens and 20s. Still frigid, but at least we get out of that brutal cold from the morning time, and by the afternoon feeling more like the mid-20s. So it's going to be a very chilly day for us tomorrow, even though we do have those that abundance of sunshine for your Monday. It just won't be able to break through this Arctic blast. And again, for those who may have not seen this graphic from earlier, I want to show you that it's not just us. It's all the way in places through Minneapolis, Chicago, down into Nashville, Tennessee, into North Florida, so Pensacola, Tallahassee also included in this. So very, very cold weather all the way around as our cold blast is on the way. Now, I will say there is some relief on the horizon. Once we get into the middle of the week, things start to significantly improve. We're talking a huge climb in temperatures, mid-30s on Monday, mid-40s on Tuesday, mid-50s on Wednesday, and lower 60s by Thursday. So each and every day, we're going to be rising at least 5 to 10 degrees, which is going to be a nice improvement from the very cold weather that we had over the course really of the past couple of weeks. Almost every single day since we've started December has been below average. And I even pulled that up as well as we get into the calendar of, you know, what the month has been doing so far. And we can see from temperatures that we had one above average day, and that was yesterday. Everything else has been near normal or below, and really we've only had one near normal day, and that was on the second day of the month. After that, every single day has been cold, colder than normal. So we're starting off a very, very cold stretch as we get into precipitation, rain, and what it comes out to be. Remember, we had some areas of snow. Remember that those numbers that we had will shrink down once the snow melts. It won't be the same amount in terms of the actual water that if it was to rain would have been around 0.2 of an inch. In Norfolk we got just about half an inch at the airport, so melted down to about 0.2 of an inch. But you can see that we've had a pretty active start to the month, though, with 4 days over the past 14 days where we had measurable precipitation. But again, going back to that calendar of the cold temperatures, it's been cold. Good news is we get into, or for those who may want to warm up, I guess good news for me because I want the warm up. But for those who may be like, I want December to feel like December, well, you get it today, and it will definitely feel like December. It will feel like Jack Frost is at your doorstep. But we get into the rest of the month, and we look ahead to, your Christmas break, and it will show, if I can find this graphic, that things may be warm for that Christmas week. Thinking of the name of the graphic now because it has a specific name. Bear with me. Here we go. So this takes us to the 22nd, which is the Monday before Christmas. to the 28th, which is heading into, that is going to be the Sunday after Christmas. So you can see we may be drier than normal or right near normal, but then you look at the 8 to 14 day temperature outlook, which means again December 22nd through December 28th, and it looks like a lot of the U.S. will have an above average, potentially Christmas. So for those who may be wanting a white Christmas, if this outlook holds true, which the Climate Prediction Center does a great job of putting these outlooks out, so not doubting their ability to get this right, but if this holds true, then we are looking at a warmer Christmas than we started off the month. And I was talking to our producer Nia Campbell and anchor Connor Reel on Live Impact News just this past week, saying that if it's going to be cold and it's going to be snowing this many times in December and even into parts of November, I want us at least to have a white Christmas. It looks like my Christmas wish will not come true. But above normal temperatures on the horizon that we say probably in the 50s and 60s through next week. So very comfortable for for Christmas week. But let's talk about today. Tonight is the first night of Hanukkah. So a very, very cold night for the start of that holiday. Temperatures falling throughout the day. Again, we have the morning rain and snow mix. Tomorrow, very breezy and cold, single-digit wind chills. And then as we head into the rest of your 7-day forecast, temperatures warm up significantly, back to the lower 60s on Thursday, and we're going to stay in the upper 50s on Friday as well. Rain is possible late Thursday into Friday morning, and then we cool back down to the upper 40s by next weekend, so back on that cooler trend. But again, this morning I am watching for that snowfall to come through. And that is also right now coming through, as you see the peninsulas at the moment. Just 1 second, you all. But you can see right now snowfall coming through the Delmarva Peninsula, through the northern neck, into the middle peninsula. And it's looking like we may have some first mix over now just west of 664, heading near Belleville, and then Kings Fork in Suffolk, and Oakland and Suffolk as well. So we're starting to see that mix over, but by the time I come back and talk to you all in about 2 hours, I'm sure that we'll have a much different radar as temperatures continue to cool down here in Hampton Roads in northeastern North Carolina. Again, rain, snow mix this morning, and then we have our weather impact alert again. That's for the Arctic air that does move in across Hampton Roads. And you can see that this will start tonight for the Arctic air for feels like temperatures in the teens and single digits that last through tomorrow morning. Bitterly cold wind chills, and then the pipe freeze risk is also there. Of course, what you need to do is stay weather aware during this time and make sure that you're aware of your body and how it's responding to the cold. Please try to keep yourself warm. That means wearing multiple layers. That also means staying indoors if you can. If you can, please be indoors. Of course, we'll keep you updated if we do have school delays or if any significant changes to the forecast happen. I doubt we'll have any significant changes, but by the time I meet you all again in just about 2 hours, I'm sure the radar, again, will look different. I'm tracking snow flurries through the late morning and hanging on barely through the early afternoon before conditions start to get very breezy and very cold very fast. All those details at 11 a.m. here on 13 News Now Plus, so I'll join you there in just a couple hours. Enjoy your Sunday morning. Try your best to stay dry, but again, make sure your winter coat is dusted off for this evening and tonight into tomorrow morning. You'll need it. See you then.